Hi, I'm Luke, and this is Lukewarm. In this episode, I'll be describing what happens to Anne Frank and all the residents of the secret annex after being captured by the Green Police on August 4th, 1944. If you've read Anne Frank's actual diary, The Diary of a Young Girl, or the play by Francis Goodrich and Albert Hackett, The Diary of Anne Frank, it's important to realize that some of the members of the secret annex have different names in real life. For example, the character known as Mr. Dussel is actually based off of a man named Fritz Pfeffer, and the Von Don family, who hides with the Franks in both the published diary and the play, is actually based off of a family with the last name of Von Pels. After successfully hiding in Amsterdam, Netherlands for 2 years, an anonymous tip gave the Nazis all they needed to arrest the annex residents. Here, at a factory owned by Mr. Frank prior to the Nazi occupation of Amsterdam. To this day, the identity of the informant remains unknown. If you're interested, check out the Anne Frank website's Secret Annex Online, which will give you a virtual tour of the secret annex, among other things. Once captured, the Franks, Von Pels, and Fritz Pfeffer were taken to Westerbork, a transit camp. Transit camps such as Westerbork were created to help with the dispersal of Jews, Gypsies, homosexuals, Jehovah's Witnesses, and other groups targeted by the Nazi Party to death camps and labor camps. Anne, her family, and the other members of the secret annex spent about a month in Westerbork before being transferred. On September 2nd, 1944, the former members of the secret annex were sent by train to Auschwitz and arrived there 3 days later. This concentration camp is widely regarded today as one of the most notorious death camps the Nazis maintained throughout the Holocaust. It is at Auschwitz that the secret annex members are split up by gender, and due to their age and relatively good health, are spared death in the gas chambers and are sent instead to the camp's barracks. Hermann von Pels becomes ill a few weeks after arriving at Auschwitz. His condition quickly worsened due to the poor quality of life in the camp, and he is sent to the gas chambers soon afterward. Fritz Pfeffer, a dentist and Anne's former roommate, is transferred to Neuengamme in October 1944. Fritz endures until December 1944, when he falls victim to malnutrition and the lethal conditions of his confinement. Anne Frank, her mother, Edith Frank, and her sister, Margit Frank, were all assigned to the same barrack upon arrival at Auschwitz. Together, they endure until October or November of 1944, when the Nazis decide to evacuate the camp due to the Russians' imminent arrival. Anne and Margit Frank are healthy enough to be taken and transferred to another concentration camp in Germany. Edith Frank, however, is left behind due to her poor health and passes away January 6, 1945. Anne and Margit Frank are transferred by railcar to the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. The prisoners had to endure unimaginable conditions within such crowded train cars. Around this time, tens of thousands of concentration camp prisoners were transferred to Bergen-Belsen as the Nazis were forced to retreat further into Germany. Bergen-Belsen wasn't built to house the influx of new arrivals, and thousands began to die of starvation, dehydration, and overexposure. The unburied dead, combined with the poor sanitation in the camp, resulted in an outbreak of typhus fever, which killed many more prisoners, including Margit and Anne Frank, who both died sometime between February and March 1945. Augusta von Pels is also transferred from Auschwitz to Bergen-Belsen, but leaves later in November, and it is believed that Augusta, Margit, and Anne are reunited in Bergen-Belsen for a time. Unlike the two sisters, however, Augusta is transferred to yet another camp, Buchenwald, and again to Theresienstadt. After leaving Bergen-Belsen, Augusta, like many others, was forced to march for miles with minimal rest, food, and water, and it is on her journey to Theresienstadt that Augusta perishes from exhaustion between April and May 1945. Peter von Pels remains in Auschwitz until January of 1945. The Nazis who remain at Auschwitz are forced to flee and take with them any prisoners healthy enough to walk, which includes Peter von Pels. Days or weeks before being liberated, Peter is forced on a death march to Mauthausen. The exact date of Peter's death remains unknown, but it is believed that he passed away in Mauthausen between April and May 1945. Otto Frank was lucky to have survived despite all that he lost during the Holocaust. When the Nazis abandoned Auschwitz in January of 1945, Otto Frank was thought too weak and sick to be transferred, so he was left behind and liberated by the Russians when they arrived shortly thereafter. 2 out of every 3 European Jews were killed during the Holocaust. Hundreds of thousands of gypsies, homosexuals, and Jehovah's Witnesses were also murdered by the Nazis during this time. The best we can do today is honor the memories of the victims of this genocide, and in doing so, ensure that history does not repeat itself. If you're interested in learning more about the Holocaust or the lives of the members of the Secret Annex, check out the Anne Frank Museum's website, which features an interactive timeline of the events surrounding Anne Frank's life, time in hiding, and capture. Other great resources you should check out include the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum website and the Jewish Virtual Library. The links to all these websites can be found in the description of the video. I'm Luke, and thanks for watching Lukewarm.